right now, I'm expecting Oreoluwa to join me on the show so that we can discuss the Nigerian-Ghana trade relation. Oreoluwa is one of those Nigerians that do business and reside in Ghana. A lot of experiences, have been shared on social media around Nigerian businessmen and their ordeal in Ghana. So Oreoluwa will join us shortly, and we can have him talk about it. Oreoluwa, a very good day to have you on the show. Okay, can you unmute your audio so that we can hear you from here? Okay, we're still expecting a better smooth connection with Oreoluwa. Well, in talking about Nigerian-Ghana relation, all right, you are here. So let's get down to our discussion, Oreoluwa.
Sure.
All right. First and foremost, I will ask this question: what is your assessment of Nigeria and Ghana trade relation? Looking at what has happened and other issues around it, but let's have your assessment of it so far.
Okay. Good afternoon, first of all, and thank you for having me on the show. Well, you see, it's a very complicated and dicey scenario, but I'll try as much possible to be diplomatic on it. If we are to be honest, Nigeria suffers a lot in terms of brain drain, and not just brain drain, economic losses to people living in the country every day. And indirectly, other governments benefit from it. But we don't get to understand the dynamic around it. So it's ideal to note that Nigerians outside Nigeria are literally not thriving. They are basically surviving. If you go to South Africa, UK, there are likes and stuff like that, they are basically just surviving, not thriving. I have relatives in the UK and stuff like that, and it's weird when you make, for example, over £1,000 in a week, and the next minute tax is being deducted, and you are losing close to 30% of that just to pay tax. You see, it's very thin and dicey. Now, the same kind of situation plays out in Ghana. And the reason why it works like that is Ghanaian economy is different from the Nigerian, in the sense that Ghanaians pay more tax than Nigerians. So by this, the average Nigerian in Ghana will pay more taxes than they will do in Nigeria. But not just that, they will also pay more on the other side. There are all these expenses that come. I don't want to go deep into it, but it's very complicated. So on a normal day, it would make sense if an individual stays in Nigeria, produces in Nigeria, and exports it to other countries than leaving Nigeria to go also in other countries. But people don't see that reality. You see, there is this thing where personal experience, not me directly, something I saw. How do you explain in Nigeria? We complain about paying bribes to police and stuff like that, our police are corrupt. But I've seen Nigerians pay the equivalent of about 100,000 naira at a go as bribe. And some of these cases are linked to, what's it called? Human trafficking and stuff like that. So if we begin to analyze these things clearly, the problem itself is not government. It's not the Ghanaian government, it's not the Nigerian government. Africans as a whole, we have a problem. Our mindset, which is being wired based on how we think religiously and stuff like that, goes out there on its own. Then attitude, morals, these are great. So if we are to analyze the issue of Nigerians in Ghana properly, the truth is they are not thriving, they are basically surviving. And the government has a lot to do, a whole lot.
Interesting. But let's take on what you rightly wanted to say partially earlier. A lot of Nigerians believe that there is something causing this friction between these two countries, particularly between Nigerians who are in Ghana and the Ghanaian authority. But you are there. What really is the issue causing the friction? Is it because of the multiple taxation that Ghanaian government is looking for more money, or what is really causing the friction?
government runs. That's the better truth. But then taxes don't do not build the country. Pay more tax in Ghana. In a way, although it's in a way. I don't know the issue of democracy as to why it doesn't favor Africans. The major problem we have in Ghana here is my own field is much different from what the average man field like does on the street. Now, I'm trying as much as possible to be diplomatic about because it's a very dicey ground. So you see, this is surviving in Lagos. I grew up in Lagos. Now, surviving in Lagos has that streets attitude, that kind of a thing, where it's like survival of the fittest until maybe of recent, and it still is. Now, if you can survive in Lagos, you can survive anywhere in the world. But then there's always people where they will say, in Accra, I cried. Like, to survive in Accra, you would cry. That's the basic truth. Now, the average Nigerian is wired to do whatever it takes to survive. And when you look at the population dynamics, those who you see as Nigerians, like, how do I put it? It looks as if a lot of Nigerians are in Ghana. Let me start from that angle. But then the percentage of Nigerians in Ghana is still the same percentage of Ghanaians in Nigeria. The only reason why it's obvious that a lot of Nigerians are in Ghana is based on the population. Like when you look at the population ratio, 20 million to 200 million, that kind of a thing. So the same percentage, just nearly the same percentage of Ghanaians you will find in Nigeria are the same percentage of Nigerians you will find in Ghana based on their population ratio. This is something I can prove to you based on like personal experiences in Lagos on the street of what's it called, this Balogun market and stuff like that. I've met countless individuals there and I know what goes on behind the scene. Now, the average Nigerian in Ghana literally left because we have a tech is true. You see, a very small landmass in by the hardship and stuff like that, trying to, like, you see this jackpot like. Now, when you get to maybe other countries as a Nigerian, that instinct is there. It's basically survival instinct. So you see people maybe in business, they have a profit margin of let's say 5%, and you're like, if I bring this to 1%, I'll do better. That's the Nigerian. When they do this, it causes and strikes envy and stuff like that, and they get into trouble. Now, that's just like basic. The average Nigerian is willing to do anything possible, and the average Nigerian sees more opportunities easily. That's just the diplomatic aspect. Now, the dark side to it is many of these people, the things they do, I don't want to like go deep into it, but you see that thing where anyhow, they have to be like, I will just survive. People do a lot of dark things. And when you have a few bad eggs reading the picture of what the average person is, we begin to have larger problems. So at the end of the day, if you take a look at this Igbo must go that happened recently and stuff like that, it boils down to these perceptions. Personally, as like on my own stance, I've experienced funny things from Nigerians. That is like you speak the same language outside Nigeria. I've experienced funny things with them. Imagine going to buy a phone and what you get is not a phone, or what you get is a broken phone, and it's brand new, that kind of thing. You see, it's very, I don't want to go deep into it. Most of these things are what gives us like a darker image outside.
Exactly.
And for these things, you can't blame the host country. That's just the truth. Because if they do it on your own soil too, it's a problem in a way, and you definitely fight against it. Exactly. The problem basically is...
Go ahead.
Did you say something?
No, just go ahead.
Okay. So the problem is not usually just the people alone. If we are to tackle it based on the root cause, we start with why exactly do they have to live where they are, and what exactly are they doing to survive in the countries where they are. You see, of recent, there is this increase in the price of a passport and stuff like that, which I took a stand against, because to me, it does not make sense for a passport to be 100,000 naira, 200,000 naira. It would rather make sense for you as any government to make the passport free, then tax everybody that spends a country for using the passport. The passport will collect a certain amount from you, and we don't just collect that amount from you. We have a system whereby you can easily call the embassy if you have a problem. The embassy does not, you don't even need to call the embassy. The embassy gets to call you and check up on you. That is how government should operate if we are to like govern for humanity. But in Africa, we don't think, we just copy whatever the Europeans do, whatever the Westerners do. Then we double it down. Of recent, there's been taxation stuff, people trying to defend increase in taxes and stuff like that. And I just laugh. There are days where I'll go into a restaurant, I'll spend the equivalent of maybe 70 cedis, 100 cedis on just one plate. That's like the equivalent of like, let's say 10,000 and stuff like that. Deep down in my mind, I know what I'm doing is foolish because I'll do a calculation breakdown and the percentage that goes into tax is way wide. But then, not wrong tax for a whole day, cake, that and stuff like that. You see people waking up carrying guns just to like shoot people and stuff like that. They do this out of a situation whereby there's too much pressure on them financially, emotionally, and mental. So taxes itself is not just a way to govern people. There are things that boil down to how people should live and how they should think. Rationality, emotions, like basic thinking. What governs their reaction? For every action, there's a reaction. But we don't usually think that deeply. So the issue of the rift between Ghanaians and Nigerians is a very complicated one, but then it boils down to our attitude as people.
Exactly. Now let's
I wouldn't blame.
Let's take a look at the implication of this rift, this friction on the economic development of the both countries, because it's very important. You know, one of the things we want to achieve with this discussion is that how has this friction affect the economic development of both countries? On the Nigerian side, we know that Nigeria has been, you know, gaining in terms of export to Ghana, and Ghana has, export less to us. But in terms of this friction now, what do you think has really happened to our economic development of both countries?
Okay, you see, the thing is this: when you walk outside, personally, I stay here. But do I need to stay here? It's fine. Do I really want to stay here? No. There have been days where I would be like, let me just go to Guinea, let me just go to Uganda, stuff like that. I calculate these things once in a while. And the truth is, the average price you would get for a service in Ghana is times the same thing you get for the same service in Nigeria. And we now look at what you pay as taxes. You are paying more to the Ghanaian government, even more than the average Ghanaian would pay. So imagine a situation whereby you stay in Nigeria, you pay taxes to the Nigerian government, then you export. Technically, it gives you a case where foreign influence coming into the country, the economy gets more bigger and stuff like that. But when it is that way, so staying outside Nigeria and working outside Nigeria is not just the Nigerian government will pay more when Nigerians stay in Nigeria. That's even the reason why I would support the situation whereby the passport is free and you tax somebody who spends a day outside the country. That way, it makes sense, because even if there's brain drain and everybody's trying to jack and stuff like that, you get value. Now, aside from taxes, there are basic identity cards and stuff like that the average Nigerian would pay a open lot sum to like benefit from. And these things indirectly even violates like the ECOWAS what's it called, protocols and infrastructure.
Exactly.
But we don't get to see these things deeply. The ECOWAS is there, ECOWAS has its protocol, there are things that should benefit from it. But indirectly, if you look at it closely, we are not benefiting from it. We are indirectly losing to it. And until we understand the reason why we are losing to it and how exactly it should be implemented, we wouldn't make progress as a nation. As a matter of fact, Africa does not need borders. Africa will be stronger and thrive when Africans can move freely between one another and trade freely between one another. But then, the individual governments of each African country needs to understand where its strength lies. For example, when you look at what rate constitutes our GDP and stuff like that, you'll see that more of what Nigerian gains comes from foreign inflow, not even oil revenue. So the amount of Nigerians outside Nigeria sent to Nigeria the amount of money, when you look at it in total, is more than what Nigeria gains from oil revenue. So in a case whereby maybe people are trying to survive, everywhere is hard and stuff like that, you have an uncle in the UK that can send you £100, £50, £10, £20, and that money will live this life like in the next 2 weeks. So and now if to ask you don't stop people from living, but people live. Stop what's it called? Their basic messages like increasing cost on passport and stuff like that. Let them go. Then when they go, you benefit from their sweat. That's how the average government will work. And it's not as if you leverage tax in a way where you just want to drink for. You make tax avenue for you make a service. So I know that when I pay this amount of money as tax or a fee, there is a value I get in return. You'll be surprised that people will be willing to even pay more if they know there is a value they'll get for it. If in the middle of the night you get stranded, you can call the embassy and you are safe within the next few seconds. It wouldn't make any difference to pay some of the embassy or government of your own country every month. It wouldn't like hurt you in any way. But when you have a system whereby people are draining you back home, the government is not draining you, it gives like what should I call it? A skewed dynamics. So the best thing in Africa and for the Nigerian government, even for the Ghanaian government, for every government, is to open borders, allow the free flow of people, but monitor how people interact with each other, know what to tax, what not to tax, and how to make life better for the everyone on the street.
Exactly.
That's economics growth.
Exactly. Very interesting package for me, submission from you, Oreoluwa. I really want to appreciate you for coming on the issue today. Although it's a developing issue, which we may still need to revisit going forward, particularly the trade surplus imbalance within the country. We also need to examine that. But thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much.
All right. So enjoy the rest of your day over there in Accra.
You too.